Hey fly tires, welcome back. And if this is your first time to the channel, then welcome. My name is Matt, and this is all about creating flies that hopefully you will want to learn how to tie and fish. Now the pattern I'm going to be showing you tonight is an Owl Camp Adams. As of 2 days ago, it didn't really have a name, but my buddy down in North Carolina came up with this. He's fished it for years. It's done very well for him. It's kind of a combination between an Adams dry fly and an elk hair or deer hair caddis. He calls it the Owl Camp Adams. Not owl like a dude named Al, but the bird. O-W-L. Anyway, it's not too difficult to tie. I think you're going to enjoy it. Let's get started. As always, I will explain the materials as I go and put the recipe in the description. So I'm starting off with a size 12, 1X long barbless nymph hook. Now you can tie this as big as, well, I wouldn't go much bigger than a 12, but probably down to an 18. I'm going to lay down a base of black 70 denier UTC. Just like the Adams, for the tail, I'm using a little bit of grizzly, mixed in with some brown. So a little bit longer than a hook gap. Catch that in. Couple wraps, check your position. Okay, it looks fine there. We'll just go ahead and secure these in up on the way up front. Okay, now take your thread back to the start of the tail, put a little bit of wax on it. Now we'll dub the body. Just like an Adams, we're using Adams gray. You could use synthetic, you could probably use muskrat. I'm using a synthetic here. We got some super fine. I think it's just a little bit easier to work with and it's going to give it about the same properties. So dub a thin noodle on here. It might take a couple of noodles to get us 2/3 of the way up where we want to be. Okay, now that you got your body semi-tapered on up to about the 2/3 point, just grab some deer hair. A fairly significant chunk. It's not a real sparse wing. You probably want to put it in your stacker. Give it a few thumps right there. We're going to probably do it about like that, about the length of the body. Go ahead and switch your hands and pull all the under fur and fluff out. Now this is the only tricky part of the fly. It's not really tricky. It just takes some practice if you've ever spun deer hair. This is not what we want to do. We don't really want to spin it. But if you're not careful, it will. So I'm going to go ahead and get my length. It's going to ride up about like that, but about a body length. I'm going to do a pinch wrap right here. Try to keep it situated on the top. These are fairly tight wraps right there. Now you'll see it's already starting to want to spin on me. So I'm going to hold it up tight, do another tight wrap. Don't worry about that front spinning as much as the back. So it's, for the most part, it's on the top, but here's what you want to do to really keep that up there. Put one wrap under it. That'll prop it up a little bit. That's not going to keep it from spinning, though. So what we'll do there is, now I've seen some of the old timers, the really good fly tires do this, put a wrap under it, but we're going to take it over the wing and just the wing this time. This wrap is not going around the hook. So you see that? Now it looks like it's going to might be propped too much up, but it won't be. After we put a couple more wraps in, it should get it back down where we want it. So that's about how we want it right there. Got a couple little fibers sticking off, but we can either live with that or trim them. So when you got your position, you've got that wrap around just the hair wing. You can put a couple more securing wraps and it shouldn't go anywhere on you. Now we can trim this big bushy mess up here. Now, unlike an elk hair caddis where you would purposely leave a big deer hair head, in this one we're going to trim it as close as we can get. Now, that might be about as close as I can get with those scissors, but I'm going to put a few wraps through the middle of this, and if any of these poke back out, I might be able to do a little bit more trimming. You can always push it up with your fingernail or your bodkin. And if you get those coming out perpendicular, it will help you to do a little more trimming, or you can just say, don't worry about it, and leave them sticking out. Let's try to do a little bit of trimming here. Now, you don't have to get too carried away about that extra trimming. We are going to put a hackle on it. So just like the Adams, I've got a brown and a grizzly dry fly hackle here, sized to match the hook. If anything, maybe slightly undersized. I think this is about a size 12 or 14 that I'm tying in. So I'm going to put a couple wraps right there and almost start this perpendicular. And I'll pull this back and try and get a couple wraps behind it before I snip this off. Okay, that should be secure enough in there to get these wraps. Now I'm going to wrap probably 2 of the grizzly and 3 of the brown. So just for the feathers I've got right here, the grizzly has a little bit more in it, and I like it to be a little bit of a darker hackled fly. So I'm doing, you could do 3 wraps each if you've got enough room on your head here, but the last couple I've done, I think it's looked better with 2 wraps of the grizzly and 3 of the brown. So that would give it the appearance of mostly a brown hackle with just a little bit of the salt and pepper in there. Only got a few fibers sticking forward. We can either trim those, or what I usually do is just try to push them back with my fingers when I'm working on my head. So I'm going to pull those back right there, go straight back up to my eye, and then build this ramp back up here. Now it is a dry fly, so you don't want to get too carried away building a big head, but I think 10 or 12 wraps here is probably not going to affect the fly too much. Let's see if we can go ahead and finish this thing without trapping any more of these hackle fibers, pointing them forward. So there you have it, folks, the Owl Camp Adams. Pretty effective pattern, high floater, good dry fly, almost an attractor pattern, or anytime you're fishing something where the caddis are on the surface. So that's all. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.